Prison escapes prove two things. Humans crave freedom, and they severely overestimate their upper body strength. 1. The Balloon Idiot, Germany 1987. Let's start with one that sounds like it was written by a cartoonist with heat stroke. Two inmates in East Germany decided to escape prison using a homemade hot air balloon. Their materials? Garbage bags, duct tape, and whatever optimism survived 10 years behind bars. They stitched together more than 50 trash bags, filled them with stolen propane, and somehow got liftoff. For a few glorious minutes, they floated above the countryside like Walmart brand Wright brothers. Then the wind shifted. They landed right in a field, next to a group of border guards. The guards just stared in disbelief, because it's not every day you arrest two men who look like they escaped from a Macy's Thanksgiving parade. 2. The Great Peanut Butter Breakout, USA 2017. In Alabama, a group of inmates pulled off one of the dumbest and weirdest escapes in modern history. They didn't dig tunnels or overpower guards. No, they used peanut butter. One inmate used it to cover up the number above a door, making a solid steel exit look like an ordinary cell. When the rookie guard was told to open cell 23, he hit the button for what he thought was cell 23, but actually opened the door to the outside world. 12 prisoners just walked out, casually, like they were leaving a movie theater after a bad sequel. They were all caught within 2 days, probably because smelling faintly of Jif is not a great disguise. The sheriff later said, "You can't make this stuff up." Oh, but we wish we could. 3. The Toilet Tunnelers, Brazil 2012. Some prisons have elaborate escape plans. This one had plumbing issues. Inmates in Brazil spent weeks secretly digging through their cell's toilet using spoons and their bare hands. They flushed the dirt bit by bit, literally laundering their escape through the plumbing system. On the big day, they crawled through the hole, wriggled through the pipes, and popped out in the women's bathroom of a nearby police station. Yes, the same police station responsible for their prison. They didn't even make it a full block. The officers just followed the trail of sewage-smeared footprints back to the hole like it was a Scooby-Doo episode. Turns out, the only thing worse than being caught escaping is having to explain why you smell like the world's worst bath bomb. 4. The Ladder Made of Bedsheets, United States 1939. Alcatraz, the inescapable prison, surrounded by freezing water, sharks, and more guards than a Vegas casino vault. But that didn't stop Arthur "Doc" Barker from trying. He and 4 other inmates spent weeks crafting a makeshift ladder out of stolen bedsheets and scrap wood. Their master plan? Climb the 30-foot prison wall in the middle of the night. The problem? Their ladder was 2 feet too short. They got stuck, dangling like human Christmas ornaments halfway up. When the guards found them, one asked, "What's the plan now, boys?" Barker reportedly said, "Shorter fall than we thought." The attempt failed spectacularly, but it inspired future Alcatraz escapees, proving even bad ideas can echo through history as long as they're stupid enough. 5. The Helicopter Date, France 1986. Leave it to the French to make prison escape romantic. In 1986, convicted bank robber Michel Vaujour arranged the most cinematic breakout in history. His wife, Nadine, took flying lessons for months, then casually hijacked a helicopter, flew it over the prison courtyard, and dropped a rope ladder to her husband like she was starring in a budget Bond film. Michelle climbed aboard and waved to stunned guards as they flew off into the sunset. The couple became folk legends until police caught them months later. Michelle during a shootout, Nadine peacefully while buying bread. She later said, "It was love," which in fairness sounds way cooler than "it was incredibly illegal aviation." 6. The Fruit Truck Fiasco, Australia 1995. 2 inmates in New South Wales thought they had the perfect disguise, a delivery truck full of fruit. They hid inside banana crates, waiting for the morning shipment to roll out the prison gates. It was genius. Until the driver decided to take a detour for breakfast. When he parked at a roadside cafe, the prisoners quietly slipped out of the truck, directly into a group of cops enjoying coffee. Turns out the cafe was the local police hangout. They were rearrested before they could even grab a banana. Moral of the story: never plan your escape route around produce and luck, especially not in a country where everything outdoors is already trying to kill you. 7. The Inflatable Mattress Regatta, Russia 2013. If you ever doubt human optimism, remember this. 2 Russian inmates tried to float down a river to freedom on stolen air mattresses. They waited for nightfall, inflated their escape fleet, and set sail. What they didn't consider was that air mattresses are designed for calm hotel pools, not freezing rapids. Half a mile in, one mattress popped and the other flipped, dumping them into icy water. When rescue boats arrived, the men begged to be arrested, not out of guilt, but because they were hypothermic and exhausted. Their getaway lasted 20 minutes and ended with them thanking the same police they were escaping from. In Russia, even your mattress betrays you. 8. The Guard Impersonator, United Kingdom, 2009. Here's a modern masterpiece in stupidity. An inmate named Neil Moore escaped a high-security London prison without breaking a single lock. He emailed the prison staff, pretending to be from the British court system, and told them he'd been released by mistake. The guards, either incredibly trusting or incredibly British, politely opened the gates and wished him a good day. Moore walked out, took a taxi, and went to live in a luxury hotel for 3 days before the police tracked him down. When asked how he pulled it off, he said, "I just used spell check and confidence." It might be the first escape in history powered entirely by Microsoft Word. 9. The Sewage Surfing Escape, Mexico, 2010. Only true desperation, or complete brain fog, could inspire this plan. Inmates at a Mexican prison decided to crawl through the sewage pipes to freedom, armed with stolen spoons and sheer delusion. Their map? None. Their light source? A stolen lighter that promptly died halfway through the crawl. They slithered through the tunnels for 3 hours, only to emerge inside the prison's kitchen. Covered in filth, they were greeted by horrified cooks and armed guards. One inmate reportedly tried to play it cool, saying, "We got lost. You know you've hit rock bottom when you smell so bad the guards don't even want to handcuff you. They just hose you down like a crime scene mop." 10. The Laundry Truck Liberation, United States, 1985. Some escapes are born from genius. This one was born from Laundry Day. 2 inmates at a Texas prison noticed the delivery truck that hauled out dirty linens every afternoon. Their big idea: hide under the piles of sweaty uniforms and ride their way to freedom. They snuck in, held their breath, and waited. It worked, sort of. The truck made it out of the gates but headed straight to a prison-run laundry facility on the same property. When the back doors opened, there they were, buried under towels, blinking at the same guards they'd just escaped. The warden later joked that it was the cleanest escape attempt in history. Honestly, they might have pulled it off if they'd read the delivery schedule instead of just winging it. 11. The Cardboard Cutout Caper, Brazil, 2018. If you think Netflix prison dramas exaggerate, think again. In Brazil, an inmate tried to escape by disguising himself as his teenage daughter during visiting hours. He wore her clothes, a wig, glasses, and even a silicone mask. It was disturbingly convincing, until he tried to leave the cell block and guards noticed his walk was less teen girl, more middle-aged man who's done 10 years of push-ups. They stopped him, removed the mask, and the jig was up. The guards described it as a mix between Scooby-Doo and a horror movie. He claimed he just wanted to start a new life. Sure, but maybe next time skip the part where you look like a wax museum version of your own kid. 12. The Papier-Mâché Prisoner, Thailand, 2011. This one's pure art, literally. A Thai inmate spent months crafting a papier-mâché dummy of himself, complete with facial features, tattoos, and even hair made from mop strands. On the night of his escape, he tucked the dummy under his blanket, snuck out during guard shift change, and vanished. It took 10 hours before anyone noticed he was missing because the fake him was sleeping, peacefully in bed like a model citizen. Sadly, his freedom was short-lived. He was caught at a bus station the next day after trying to buy a ticket using his real prison ID. Imagine surviving on brains, patience, and papier-mâché, only to be undone by the world's dumbest checkout moment. 13. The Jet Ski Genius, New Zealand, 2016. Most inmates dream of freedom. One man dreamed of a jet ski. When he escaped from a minimum security prison in Auckland, he somehow managed to steal a wetsuit and a sea-doo from a nearby marina. His plan? Ride across the choppy Tasman Sea to Australia. That's 200 miles of open ocean. Basically suicide with an engine. He made it exactly 12 miles before running out of fuel and being picked up by the Coast Guard. When they asked where he was heading, he proudly said, "Sydney." The officer replied, "Mate, you couldn't even make it to lunch." It's probably the only time in history someone managed to get caught by the same government twice. Once on land, once at sea, both equally stupid. 14. The Yogurt Cup Tunnel, Argentina 2009. Some prisoners dig tunnels with tools. These guys used spoons and empty yogurt cups. Over the course of 6 months, they meticulously scooped dirt out of their cell floor and hid it inside hundreds of stacked yogurt containers, creating what guards described as a suspiciously dairy-heavy diet. On escape night, they crawled through the hole into an adjacent field, only to discover they'd miscalculated and tunneled directly into the prison's exercise yard. They were found sitting in the mud, covered in yogurt, waiting for morning. When asked what went wrong, one of them said, "We ran out of strawberry flavor." You almost have to respect that level of commitment to calcium and chaos. 15. The Coffin Confusion, Philippines 2018. Nothing says brilliant plan like pretending to be a corpse. A group of inmates working in the prison's woodshop decided to hide one of their own inside a coffin meant for burials. During transport, guards noticed the coffin was unusually heavy, and the body inside was coughing. They opened it to find a very alive prisoner gasping for air. His defense? "I was testing the wood for leaks." "Sure, buddy, because that's how quality control works." The guards were so baffled they didn't even get mad. They just sent him back with a note saying subject alive and stupid. It's poetic, really, trying to play dead and ending up buried in paperwork instead. 16. The Candy Bar Caper, United States 1947. This one feels like something Bugs Bunny would have written. A prisoner in Illinois bribed a guard with a candy bar. Not a car, not cash, a 5-cent chocolate bar, to look the other way while he snuck out during laundry duty. The guard agreed, figuring, why not? What's the worst that could happen? The inmate made it 50 yards before tripping over the prison's front gate chain and knocking himself, unconscious. When he woke up, he was back in his cell, and the same guard was eating the candy bar. Yet if irony were a currency, this guy would have retired rich. 17. The Rope That Wasn't, France 1927. Sometimes history's oldest ideas stay dumb for a reason. 2 French prisoners tied bed sheets together for a classic wall descent, only they didn't test the knot strength. Halfway down, the sheets tore, and they both plummeted into the moat below, which, surprise, was filled with human waste from the nearby city. Locals reportedly heard one of them yell, "We should have used the silk ones," before they were fished out by guards. You know you've hit a special kind of low when the worst part of your plan isn't being caught. It's realizing you dove into medieval sewage voluntarily. 18. The Calendar Switch, Italy, 1972. Inmates in a small Italian prison hatched a plan straight out of a sitcom. They changed all the calendars in their wing to read Sunday a day early, convincing the guards it was a day off for reduced staff. The guards, thinking it was their rest day, clocked out early and left. The inmates simply walked out the front gate. Freedom lasted a grand total of 36 hours until they were spotted buying espresso in full prison uniforms. One reportedly said, "It was Sunday somewhere." You almost want to let them keep that win for creativity alone. 19. The Sheep Suit Shuffle, Scotland 1958. In a move that would make even Monty Python proud, an inmate escaped a rural Scottish prison by disguising himself as a sheep. He collected wool from the prison's farm, glued it to his clothes, and crawled on all fours through the surrounding field at dusk. Guards noticed a strangely disciplined sheep moving at human speed, but assumed they were seeing things. He made it almost 2 miles before a farmer's dog chased him, tackled him, and literally stripped the fleece off him. The farmer called the police saying, "I think my sheep's a man." Somewhere out there, a very confused collie still thinks it saved agriculture. 20. The Library Ladder, Canada 2014. Sometimes the simplest plans are the dumbest. A Canadian inmate built a makeshift ladder out of library books, hardcovers, stacked and glued into a leaning tower of literacy. He used it to climb to a skylight, broke through, and fell 3 stories onto the parking lot. His last words before being rearrested were reportedly, "At least I read something." It's a metaphor for life, really. Reaching for knowledge, landing in asphalt. 21. The Balloon Reboot, Germany 2019. Apparently, Germany didn't learn from its 1987 balloon disaster. 2 inmates in a modern prison decided to recreate the infamous trash bag balloon escape, this time using party balloons and a stolen hairdryer. They spent nights secretly inflating dozens of red and gold balloons, planning to float over the wall like a low-budget Pixar movie. When they finally launched, the aircraft made it 6 feet before collapsing under the combined weight of 2 grown men and 1 terrible idea. They landed in the exercise yard, surrounded by deflated balloons. The guards didn't even draw weapons. They just applauded. It was the only prison break in history that ended looking like a kid's birthday party hosted by Darwin himself. 22. The Coffee Maker Catapult, United States, 1982. Some people use prison time for self-improvement, others for building siege weapons. Inmates at an Illinois correctional facility tried to escape using a homemade catapult built entirely from stolen bed frames, elastic cords, and a broken coffee maker motor. Their plan was to launch themselves over the wall, one at a time. On the first attempt, the catapult successfully flung a toolbox. On the second attempt, it successfully flung themselves straight into the electric fence. The project was immediately dubbed Operation Human Cannonball. The warden later said, "If they'd aimed lower, they might have made it, but then we'd have to award them a degree in physics." Instead, they earned a lifetime ban from the library's DIY section. 23. The Sonin Stowaway, Peru, 2016. Inmates working in a prison tailor shop realized they could ship goods to outside contractors. So, naturally, one genius decided to sew himself into a pile of uniforms destined for delivery. He folded himself up, zipped the bag, and waited. Hours later, guards opened the shipment to find an oddly moving bundle with labored breathing. The man inside tried to play dead, but sneezed. When they dragged him out, covered in lint and regret, he reportedly said, "Almost worked. Almost, yes, if the package hadn't been tagged for internal repair only. Imagine pulling a prank on yourself and losing." 24. The Pigeon Messenger Escape, India, 2004. Inmates at an Indian jail trained carrier pigeons to smuggle razor blades, tiny files, and even handwritten escape plans. Their network worked flawlessly until one of the pigeons accidentally flew into the warden's office window and knocked itself out cold. When the guards found the bird twitching on the floor, they discovered a neatly folded blueprint of the entire prison strapped to its leg. Within minutes, the plan was exposed and half the cell block transferred. Moral of the story: never outsource your freedom to a brain the size of a peanut, especially one that thinks glass is optional. 25. The Ice Cream Van Escape, United Kingdom, 1991. Sometimes freedom really is just one dessert away. A group of inmates on work release were assigned to wash vehicles at a local depot, including an ice cream truck. When no one was watching, they climbed inside, hid under bags of cones, and waited until the driver left for his route. He made it halfway through town before realizing he had stowaways eating his product in the back. The police caught up 10 minutes later, following a trail of dropped popsicle sticks. The escape was short-lived, but one of the men later said it was the sweetest 10 minutes of my life. You can't argue with that level of commitment to irony. 26. The Yoga Mat Escape, China, 2012. This one's almost poetic. A prisoner known for teaching meditation classes managed to roll himself inside a giant yoga mat and have other inmates carry him out of the workshop as trash. It was a flawless exit until the guards noticed the trash was humming. They unrolled the mat to find the man still mid-chant, claiming he was manifesting freedom. The guards, unimpressed, told him he'd manifested another 6 years instead. It's the first recorded escape attempt foiled by mindfulness. 27. The Garbage Truck Gambit, United States, 1998. Sometimes the best disguise is the dirtiest one. 2 inmates in California hid inside a garbage container that was regularly taken outside the prison. The flaw? They didn't account for the compactor. Midway through transport, the truck driver activated it, compressing the contents. Miraculously, both survived with broken ribs and a lifetime fear of dumpsters. When interviewed, one of them said, "We thought the trash route was a free ride. It was, just not the one they wanted." 28. The Flamenco Freedom, Spain, 2007. In Spain, a flamenco dancer turned inmate used her talent to distract guards during a prison performance. As she twirled and clapped, other inmates slipped into maintenance tunnels behind the stage. For 20 minutes, she performed like her life depended on it, because it did. The escape was going perfectly, until one of the men sneezed during a quiet guitar solo. Guards swarmed in, arrested everyone, and the performance ended with applause from the audience and handcuffs from security. Still, critics called it the most passionate prison break in Spanish history. 29. The Soap Bubble Strategy, Venezuela, 2003. Some people dream of freedom. Others just really love bubble baths. A Venezuelan inmate discovered that the guards never checked the prison's bathhouse after cleaning hours. So he used a mix of soap bubbles and steam to create thick fog cover, slipped out a side window, and disappeared into the night. It worked perfectly until he celebrated too early by posting about his escape on Facebook 2 days later. His status update: "Freedom feels squeaky clean." The police tracked him through his IP address and arrested him in a hotel bathtub surrounded by bubble foam. There are many ways to get caught, but being betrayed by your own hygiene routine has to sting the most. 30. The clown car escape. Brazil, 2011. Nothing screams successful getaway like 10 men cramming into a car meant for 4. During a chaotic prison break in Brazil, inmates managed to overpower guards and steal a tiny hatchback from the staff parking lot. They tried to pile inside like a slapstick sketch: 6 in the back, 3 in the trunk, 1 driving. The car made it 300 meters before the axles snapped under the collective weight of human stupidity. The men bailed and ran in every direction, immediately caught because their striped uniforms were glowing in the headlights. Police later said it looked like a clown parade without the music. You can almost hear the sad circus horn as the sirens kicked in. 31. The pizza delivery escape. Italy, 2001. 2 inmates in Rome noticed that guards regularly ordered pizza from a nearby restaurant. Their plan? Pose as delivery guys. They crafted fake uniforms out of kitchen aprons, borrowed pizza boxes, and strolled right out of the gate carrying steaming pies. The guards even held the door open for them. Unfortunately, the restaurant called later asking why 2 employees had stolen their scooter. The cops put 2 and 2 together faster than a mozzarella melt. When arrested, one of the men reportedly said, "We just wanted a slice of freedom." If irony were edible, they'd have been full for life. 32. The treadmill teleport. USA 2019. Fitness meets felony. A prisoner in Arizona had access to the gym's treadmill, which was placed near a ventilation shaft. He figured out that if he unscrewed the cover behind the machine, he could crawl into the shaft and climb out through the roof. So he did, mid-workout, while the guard on duty thought he was just really committed to cardio. He actually made it onto the roof, but didn't account for motion sensors. The alarm blared, and when guards found him, he was still jogging in place, pretending to be exercising. They caught him mid-sprint, shirtless, shouting, "I'm working on myself." Honestly, he wasn't lying. 33. The inflatable duck escape. Thailand, 2020. If you thought the Russians' air mattress plan was bad, this one floats worse. 2 inmates in Thailand stole pool toys from a nearby recreation center, bright yellow inflatable ducks, and used them as boats to cross a river. Locals spotted 2 enormous cartoon ducks bobbing gently downstream at 3 a.m. and called the police. The pair were arrested mid-paddle, exhausted but cheerful. One told reporters, "We would have made it if the beak hadn't deflated." It's probably the only prison escape ever stopped by a rubber duck's performance issues. 34. The mannequin mission. United States, 1983. It's the oldest retail trick in the book, hide in plain sight. A prisoner working at a department store as part of a work release program had an idea. At closing time, he posed as one of the mannequins in the display window. He stood perfectly still for over 2 hours until the store shut down, then started sneaking toward the exit. Unfortunately, he forgot about motion sensors, and also that mannequins don't sweat profusely. The security guard noticed the new mannequin was leaking through its pants and promptly tackled him. The headline the next day? Fashion dummy caught in daring escape. Somewhere in the afterlife, Darwin added another exhibit to his Hall of Fame. 35. The coffin bus ride. Russia, 1998. This one sounds like Edgar Allan Poe wrote it during a vodka hangover. An inmate volunteered for the prison morgue detail, then hid inside a coffin meant for transport to the city cemetery. His plan was simple: play dead until the bus arrived, then slip away after dark. It might have worked, except the morgue director decided to cremate the bodies instead of burying them that week. The coffin was minutes away from the furnace when someone noticed the corpse nervously adjusting its position. He popped the lid open and yelled, "Wrong delivery!" The guards fainted, the driver screamed, and the prisoner ended up back in his cell, ironically, now too afraid of small spaces to ever try again. 36. The fishing pole freedom. Australia, 2015. Some guys fish for trout. This guy fished for liberty. An inmate at a Sydney prison noticed the guard tower had a key ring that hung on a nail near the gate. Over several nights, he crafted a fishing rod out of electrical cable, plastic utensils, and sheer audacity. One quiet evening, he cast his line out the cell window, hooked the keys, and reeled them in. He almost made it out too, until he dropped the keys down a drain while trying to unlock the door. Guards found him sobbing beside the sewer, still holding the fishing pole like a kid who just lost the big one. If irony had a sound, it would have been that key splash echoing through the hallway. 37. The Cake File. For real. United States, 1942. You've heard the cliché about smuggling a file inside a cake? Well, someone actually did it. During World War II, a prisoner's sweetheart baked him a homemade chocolate cake and hid a small metal file in the middle. Guards laughed it off until they discovered a suspicious pile of frosting-covered metal filings near the cell a few weeks later. The man almost escaped before being caught mid-saw. When questioned, he said, "It was a gift from the heart." The warden replied, "Next time she sends cupcakes, we're X-raying the sprinkles." Somewhere in history's recipe books, this deserves its own chapter. Desserts that nearly led to felonies. 38. The Tuba Tunnel. Poland, 1981. Music lovers, this one's for you. An inmate in a Polish orchestra program noticed the giant tuba cases had enough space for a person. So, during a concert rehearsal, he slipped inside one, zipped it up, and waited for his exit performance. The plan: be loaded into the transport truck with the instruments and roll away. Everything went smoothly until someone stacked a drum kit on top of the case. The poor man was trapped for hours, bruised, dehydrated, and repeatedly hit with cymbals every time the truck turned. When they found him, he muttered, "I hit all the wrong notes." Freedom may have been the goal, but pain was definitely the encore. 39. The Wardrobe to Nowhere. Ireland, 1974. Inspired by The Great Escape, a group of Irish inmates built a fake wall and a secret passage behind a row of wardrobes. They spent months chiseling through concrete, planning to tunnel to the outer yard. When they finally broke through, they triumphantly crawled out, straight into the warden's office. The man himself was at his desk when his filing cabinet started rattling. He opened it to find a dirt-covered prisoner blinking up at him. "Evening, sir," the inmate said. "Lovely office you've got." The warden reportedly just sighed and replied, "You lads really need a map." 40. The Hot Dog Heist. USA, 1969. Sometimes freedom isn't the goal, it's lunch. Two prisoners at a county jail were assigned to cook hot dogs for a charity event. When no one was watching, they jumped into the catering van, drove 3 miles to a diner, and ordered coffee like nothing happened. Unfortunately, they left the van parked outside, still covered in county jail logos and handcuffs dangling from the dashboard. A customer called it in, and within 10 minutes they were back in custody. When asked why they risked everything, one shrugged and said, "I just wanted a hot dog that wasn't emotional support food." 41. The Wall That Fought Back. China, 1998. Two inmates spent weeks digging through their cell wall using smuggled spoons. They were inches from freedom when the final blow caused the structure to collapse. Inward, the entire section of wall crumbled onto them like a concrete avalanche. The noise alerted every guard in the block, and they were found buried waist-deep in rubble, still clutching their spoons. One prisoner later said, "We thought we'd hit the jackpot. Turns out it hit us back." Sometimes karma doesn't wait until after you're free. It's happy to crush you right where you stand. 42. The Air Duct Acrobat. United States, 1992. An inmate nicknamed Spider lived up to his name. Sort of. He snuck into the prison's ventilation system, intending to crawl through the ducts to the roof. For 6 hours, guards heard mysterious clanging noises but assumed it was maintenance. When the ceiling finally gave way, Spider crashed straight through into the cafeteria during dinner. Covered in insulation and rage, he stood up, looked around, and muttered, "Wrong turn." The inmates cheered, the guards groaned, and Spider became a legend for turning the lunch hour into Cirque du Stupide. 43. The Escape Goat. Sweden, 1973. Some prisons have dogs, others have goats. At a small Swedish farm prison, an inmate named Lars decided to ride one. The prison's pet goat, Bjorn, was known for headbutting fences. Lars took this as divine inspiration. He jumped on Bjorn's back, yelled, "To freedom!" and kicked the animal toward the gate. The goat charged, smashed through one layer of fencing, and promptly threw Lars into a mud pit. Guards found him trying to reason with the goat, saying, "You were supposed to be my partner." It was the first and last prison escape in history ruined by livestock betrayal. 44. The Kite and Lightning Escape. United States, 1953. Some people watch The Shawshank Redemption for inspiration. This guy must have watched Looney Tunes. During a thunderstorm, an inmate decided to reenact Benjamin Franklin's kite experiment, but with a jailbreak twist. He built a homemade kite out of toilet paper, twine, and scrap metal, hoping lightning would strike the fence and short out the power. It worked, kind of. Lightning hit the kite, melted the twine, and electrocuted him so hard his shoes literally exploded. He survived, but the only thing that escaped that night was his sense of direction. To this day, guards still call power outages Franklin Fridays. 45. The Bread Tunnel, Egypt, 2008. You know your plan's bad when your building material doubles as lunch. Inmates in Cairo tried to reinforce a tunnel using dried bread. They baked loaves in their cell, stacked them like bricks, and glued them with toothpaste. The structure held for about 6 minutes before humidity turned it into the world's first underground bakery collapse. When guards found them, they were surrounded by wet bread, eating their own escape route out of shame. As one officer put it, they failed as criminals, but succeeded as sandwich artists. 46. The Google Maps Gambit, Japan, 2016. This one's proof technology can't fix stupidity. A Japanese inmate studying digital maps in the prison library found what he thought was a secret road leading out of the facility. He memorized the route, only to discover it was just a shaded line showing the prison wall. During his attempted escape, he proudly followed the map for 30 minutes, around the same block, until guards caught him circling the building like a lost Roomba. His defense? The internet said it was right. The court later banned inmates from using Google Maps, which feels less like punishment and more like mercy. 47. The Choir of Chaos, United Kingdom, 1984. Every December, the prison held a Christmas concert. This year, the choir decided to make it memorable by timing their escape to the finale. When the audience stood for the last hymn, half the choir bolted out the back door. It might have worked if one singer hadn't tripped over the piano pedal, collapsing the instrument mid-song. The resulting noise made everyone freeze. The warden later said, "It was the worst version of Silent Night I've ever heard." The escapees were rounded up before midnight, humming hymns of regret. At least they hit all the wrong notes together. 48. The Grand Finale, The Clown Tunnel of Chile, 2021. You'd think by the 21st century, humans would have learned something. Nope. A Chilean circus performer arrested for theft decided to put his acrobat skills to work. Over 2 months, he built a secret tunnel behind the prison's clown costume storage. Yes, really. When the day came, he dressed in full makeup, crawled through the tunnel, and popped out in a nearby park, in front of a children's birthday party. Dozens of kids screamed, parents called the cops, and within minutes, the clown was back behind bars. His mugshot, complete with red nose and smeared paint, became so viral the prison used it as a poster for what not to do. Honestly, best free advertisement a circus could ever get. So there you have it. 48 escapes proving that stupidity, not freedom, truly has no walls. Some flew, some swam, some just face-planted into destiny. But every single one wrote a new chapter in the global encyclopedia of dumb. Before you escape this video like a guilty politician, check out our other channel, Idiopedia. Even dumber, even funnier. You'll thank me later.